Welcome to this mini lecture on the theoretical framework part of your research paper. A theory is a general explanation of why your variables are working together, how they relate to each other, and how they influence each other. So theories, they help us understand why these seemingly unrelated empirical observations, they tie together and they make sense. Here's an example of some of the theories about depression and how the different theories would cause you to have a different study and how you would look at the study in different ways. So if I was a behaviorist and I wanted to explore depression and do a research study on depression, I would look at depression as being caused by behavior. So I would set up a study and say that depression, if an individual does exercise, will that reduce depression? So my theory would be a behaviorist theory, and I would then say depression, which is my dependable, will change with my independent variable, exercise. If I'm a psychodynamic theorist, I would say that depression is caused by unconscious childhood experiences. So I would then measure depression, and I would also maybe use an instrument that measures adverse childhood experiences or attachment styles within the family. If I'm a cognitive behavior type of theory or cognitive theorist, I would look and say that your negative thoughts cause depression, and changing your thoughts and changing will then change the depression. So I would use a CBT or a DBT or one of those type of interventions to say that depression will change. If I'm a humanist, my theory is that people need human connection. So lack of connection equals depression. So I would set up a study and I would say, if I create connection, will depression be reduced? So finding some social support groups, testing depression before, testing depression after, then I would be able to say that I'm using a humanistic type of theory to reduce depression. So let's say that I'm it's physiology, the theory of physiology that is causing depression. I will then look at it and say, maybe we need to take some medications. So I will see what your serotonin levels are before and after you start taking meds. And I would also then measure your depression. Finally, one that there's multiple others, but another one that I was thinking about is environmental. So person and environment. If I have a stressful environment, lack of resources, those kind of things, etc., they cause depression. So fix the environment and you fix the depression. So you can see how all these theories fit together. So what you need to do is find a theory that fits for your study to explain why your variables are working together or how they influence each other. So an example of a theory is the relational theory of loneliness. This theory, it distinguishes between emotional loneliness, the lack of close attachment figures, and social loneliness, the feelings of isolation. So the theory predicts that someone who is in bereavement due to the death of a spouse will experience utter loneliness that cannot be moderated by social support. So if I have somebody who has lost a spouse of 50 years and I'm trying to fix their loneliness by adding social supports, this theory predicts that that will not fix the loneliness. So hints on finding theories. There are many theories out there than you can possibly imagine. So often students, and they often kind of wonder, you might too, wonder, how do I find the right one? So here's a hint. Look at the references you've already gathered for the related literature section of your literature review paper. What theories are they basing their work on? Look up the citations they reference, read firsthand the theories from the authors who proposed them, and see if that will be a good fit, a good lens for you to look through for your research. If it is, then you have a theory. If not, keep looking. Another option for finding the theoretical frameworks are using the Google Scholar of the library database, particularly psychology or sociology databases, and then use your topic's keywords with the words and theory. So for example, youth and homelessness, and theory, and you might be able to find something for that fits for your study. So in the theoretical framework section of the Lit Review, under the heading 1, please include the name of the theory and the developer. So the name of the theory, the developer, the origin or source of the theory, where did it come about, the topics the theory is applied to. So often a diagram, or what's known as a figure in APA, is helpful to include so the reader can get the full picture. So you want to talk about the premise of the theory and the hypothesis, and how the premise of the theory helps you understand your variables and how your variables interact with each other. So as a reminder, there will be 2 spots where you will talk about the theoretical framework and the overarching research proposal. The more thorough description of the theory, including the components that I just described in the last slide, should be included in the Lit Review. The script of the theory section, suggested in your textbook on page 59, is a great tool to use to draft the language for the overview of theoretical framework that you will use in your introduction. So in the introduction, you're only going to have a very short summary of the theoretical framework. In the Lit Review, you'll have a longer, couple more paragraphs about who wrote the theory, where did it come from, the background of the theory, and the components of the theory, the main tenets of the theory, and how it fits with your study. So please see the Lit Review instructions template and the grading group rubrics for further guidance.